Local recording. Welcome to The Pull, our weekly show where we discuss all of the latest comic books that are coming out, the hottest news that is coming out. Sometimes it's not so hot, sometimes it's pretty hot, and we always bring in a guest to get a different opinion on the latest comic books that are, aka, coming out. Today, your hosts are myself, Benny the Comicstorian, joined by Joel from Cape to Joel. You guys know us, we're on every podcast, but our special guest today is Caitlin. So why don't you tell them who you are, what you do, and where they can find you, Caitlin.
Hey guys, I'm Caitlin, obviously, also known as That Sea Monster. I'm a stand-up comedian that travels to anime and comic book conventions to give you really good jokes about nerd stuff. Yeah!
Gotta love it.
Woo! You guys can find me on my channel at That Sea Monster. My videos, I have just found out, are hard to find because I'm a total YouTube noob.
Hey, we all started there at some point.
We were all there. But yeah, if you guys want to catch me, I'll be at Anime Expo July 4th weekend, hosting a nighttime 21 plus event that involves
totally gonna be there
risque humor, and that's
Saucy.
about all I can say. Super saucy. If you
It's
want
a little blue.
this,
if you wanna, well, what a way to sell yourself. If you want this,
on all of this.
You know, me and Benny tried doing the same pitch, all of this, and surprisingly, no one's about it.
no, we actually lost viewers when we did that.
You know what's really funny? I have also lost viewers. So, and considering
If you want all this, why are you unsubscribing? Why is this happening here?
Why are you walking away? Why are you bolting the door behind you?
You know, I was drowning in the middle of a set, and I just started slowly disrobing, and at about the fourth petticoat, the audience got bored and started leaving.
Well, that's what happens when you wear the Lolita outfits. You have like way too many layers. Like, I tried putting it on once, didn't work for me.
I would love to be your Lolita drag mom and see exactly what we can do.
See how we can make this all work.
And
we
Benny,
get
what
you to
you do alone at 3 a.m?
Can we get you to AX incognito in a drag outfit? Because I'll supply.
I don't know. They tried that at PAX. It didn't work out too well for me in the end.
You were just complaining, Benny, you get recognized too much at cons. I think it's time to, ask Faust and our new friend here for some crossplay.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, no, I thought about doing the whole horse mask thing and just walking around.
Ah, good old horsey man.
Ooh, you could do that mask from Tomboy. That's been gaining some traction.
Oh, I can see that.
Yeah,
Every year there's a new popular mask, yeah.
So, okay, guys. So that is who our guest is today. Now, unlike the weekly poll, there's a little less ranting, more about on topic with this one. And today's biggest comics that we're going to be talking about are Captain America, a.k.a. Captain Hydra, a.k.a. You're Wrong, America.
Yes, basically, that should be the subtitle. Not Captain America Steve Rogers, it should be Captain America You're Wrong, America.
And we're also going to be talking about DC Rebirth. We're going to be talking about the end of Darkseid War. And we're going to be talking about the final days of Superman. Caitlin has been gracious enough to read the monster that is DC Rebirth and the hot topic that is Captain America. So.
I was not expecting Captain America to be the hot topic one this week. I thought everyone would be going on about DC Rebirth, but happened the other way.
No, it was. And well, it's just because, well, anyway, so as usual, guys, we're going to run through all of the comics that came out this week because we got to do that because why wouldn't we? Anyway, starting off the list, we've got Accelerators, issue 11, Ace Maxwell, Adam Starlick, The Adventures of Cordelia Swift. After the Gold Rush, issue number 1. Afterlife with Archie, number 9. Alice in Wonderland Volume 1, Alice in Wonderland Volume 2. That's convenient for a movie, isn't it?
Yeah, you get both.
You know what's weird? I think the original had a 1 and 2. I think one was Alice in Wonderland and one was Through the Looking Glass. I don't know, though. You might have to correct me on that.
Isn't there, like, technically a third one? Alice is really actually insane and dead? Like that, I think that's the name.
That was called Inception.
Oh, all right.
That's some Return to Oz bullshit you're laying down there.
Aliens Defiance, all new classic Captain Canuck. Jeez, Joel, why are you writing so many Captain Canuck books?
I'm super busy, writing, drawing, basically printing these in my back room and sending them out to everybody.
Something I can't pronounce, but we're going to try. Almir, Aloha Hawaiian Duck, The Amazing Spider-Man, Amazing Grace, 1.5. This is one of those in the middle issues. Another Castle, Archie 1000-page comics 75th anniversary.
Archie's a busy man lately.
Archie Giant Comics Blast. Who wants Archie Blast? Do you want to get Archie blasted in your face? A Hararian head huntress, and she looks like she's missing a few articles of clothing. The art of Rashin Ekadel, I can't pronounce that and I apologize. Art Ops, Assassin's Creed Volume 1, really good book. Asteria, I can't pronounce this one, but it's right here. I'm just going to point at it on the screen. All Yeah Comics, Action Cat, Adventure Bug. Betty and Veronica Friends Comics, Back to the Future, Barnaby, Batgirl, Bill and Ted Go to Hell, Black Science, Blade Bunny, Bloodshot, Brobots, Bust 2, Captain America
Robots.
#1.
Robots.
That's my response to Captain America #1. You gotta just crucifix.
Oh yes, of course. Because we're angry. We all gotta be mad.
Everybody mad about Earthing.
Captain Marvel, join the might that is Alpha Flight. That's a cool rhyme. Carnage. Challenger, Champions, Chaos Campus, Sorority Girls versus Zombies, Chapter House Archives, Northgard. Both of those are about Captain Canuck again. Jeez, Joel.
Gee, man, he's busy too.
Chum. That's the story about people hunting whales.
Oh my! I thought it was just about good friends. Hey, chum.
I thought you used chum for sharks.
Yeah. We're hunting dolphins to feed them to sharks. That's legal, right?
Oh my!
Makes so much
Aquaman
sense.
will take
Codis'
issue with that.
Infinitos, Conquistador, the Cray Bay Adventures.
Cray
Cray
Bay.
Bay.
Why you got so crowded?
Cray Baby
Wait,
Adventures.
is that? Oh, when you said Cray Bay, I was like, is that Lemonade? Did Lemonade come out with a comic? No, because of her song "Better Jealous or Crazy." That video was fucking amazing. Shut up.
I don't watch
That's right.
that, so.
I
Cry
only
Havoc,
saw it 'cause the Irish
Cyborg,
guys at
Daredevil,
Facts talked about
Daredevil versus Punishers, Means and Ends, Dark Lily, Damon, DC Universe, Rebirth. Deadpool 2099. This is actually a intermediate issue. I don't like how they do that.
It's like they did their flashbacks. Now they're doing flash forwards.
Yeah, it's weird.
They're
Deathstroke Family
Tarantinoing
Reunion.
the fuck out of it. and I
They
don't know.
really are.
Deepwater Prison, Dirk Gently's Disquiet, Divine Comedy. Well, that sounds interesting. Divinity 2, Doctor Strange #8, Doctor Who Staffel 10, Doctor Who the 9th Doctor, Doctor Who the 10th Doctor, Doctor Who the 12th Doctor, Diditos. I'll go with that one.
Diditos.
Diabetes? Is it about diabetes?
Doritos. Which will
Drax
give you
Volume 1,
Diabetes.
Drax Issue 7, Dream Police, Dreaming Eagles, EI, Earth Invasion, East of West, Empty Zone, Escape from Monster Island. I actually want to read that one. The Experts, The X-Men, Apocalypse Wars, not digging that at all. Fake Empire Issue #4. That is actually a murder mystery about the Tooth Fairy. Find sometimes find some. I can't pronounce it. Find sometimes rain. The Flash Freelance Blues. The Head Rack to Claude.
Words right.
Wait, I didn't get Flash. Hold on, add to cart. Okay. Garfield Ghostbusters.
I swear
The
Benny uses this as an excuse to do his own comic shopping during the week.
What I missed for the week, I add in. Yeah. Grayson.
And I went to the comic book store like a putz.
Ant-Man. I didn't get. Oh, that's the guidebook to Ant-Man. Ignore that. Captain America, the Winter Soldier guidebook, The Haunted, Heartthrob, Captain Thunder, and Blue Bolt. That sounds like a gay porn.
What kind of adventures do they have? All the adventures.
How to Understand Israel in 60 Days or Less.
That's important. I think everyone should read that.
Yeah,
that's a socio-political thing.
That sounds pretty vital to your
And it's in comic
world
form.
education.
Howling Commandos of S.H.I.E.L.D., Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, Hyperion, Imperium, Independence Day, Invincible Summer, Gem and the Holograms, Johnny Red, Jonesy, Joyride, Judge Dredd, Justice League #50, The End of Darkseid War. If you've been waiting, it's finally done.
It's
Justice
final.
League 3000. I gave up on that 6 issues ago. Don't know where that's going.
James.
Killbox, Claw, Unseen, Knights of Cadamus, The Legacy of Luther Strahd, The Letter 44, Life and Death, Sorcery, Lightspeed, Enforcers, Lion Man, The Lobster Johnson. That is also a gay porn, I think.
Lobster
Johnson.
It's great when the
This
character
Johnson
actually
has
sounds.
claws.
Oh no!
It looks like a noir, but we're just gonna go with our joke.
I was gonna use a
Maga
Hellboy
Tusaki, Man versus Rock, so is that Dwayne Johnson?
Man, this is
Just a
rock.
man versus The Rock. He'll
I wanna
lose
see-
every time.
Not the rock, just a rock. Just a really big fucking rock.
Unless you're Chris Redfield, you can't punch that boulder to pieces.
Guardians of the I'm going a little slow today. I'm a little tired, guys. Just
couldn't tell.
Guardians
He's a
of the
little
Galaxy, Marvel's Guide to Whatever, Ultimate Spider-Man, Web Warriors, Contest of Champions, Part 3. Oh my God, why would you put that many titles in your book?
Gotta get those keywords for the hits.
Max Ride, Ultimate Flight, James Patterson wrote that. I don't know, like, half the book is his name. Like, the good book, but half the book is your name.
Dude knows to brand. He's like a Broken Lizards Club Dread or like a National Lampoon's.
Midnight Ménage Trois. Ménage. Okay, we're going to move on.
That one's
definitely a porn.
That one's definitely.
The Mighty Thor. This is the continuation of that little side story. It's like everyone complained about female Thor, so they're like, we're going to tell you a classic Thor's Odysseus story, and then we'll come back.
You see, I don't even think it's that. I think
didn't even have a problem with Lady Thor.
I like Lady Thor.
Lady Thor is amazing.
I thought she was awesome. I was like,
she's amazing.
You know, journey through breast cancer while being Thor.
I know, right?
Awesome.
No, it is good.
And
I
having
like it,
to keep a secret identity and trying to stop a civil war, all stuff that regular Thor never did.
Right.
Yeah, and the best part of that is I recently named my dog Thor. So now I'm like, oh, my dog's name is Thor, and people go, boy or girl? And I'm like, why not both?
Yeah.
You can like all the Thors. Come on.
All right,
get someone who can do both.
This is a hell of a tangent. All right, Mockingbird, Monster World, Monster.
Oh.
Monstress, Moon Girl, and Devil Dinosaur. How did I not see that either?
Monstrous is fucking awesome.
Miss Marvel, by the way, it says Road to Civil War 2. It has nothing to do with Civil War 2.
Doesn't it? They've been doing that a lot with the Iron Man books as well.
Road to Civil War 2. We're lying, but you're going to buy it.
But you're gonna buy it.
Munchkin, Nighthawk #1, Ninjas and Aliens, Notre Dame, Obi-Wan, and Anakin #5. How did I miss that too? What the hell?
I got to catch up on all my stuff.
The Octopus Pie. That's the end of it. I've actually been reading that. Blood and Khalil, the Omega Men. That's the end of Omega Men. Orphan Black, the Over the Garden Wall, Hellcat, Pep Digital, Persona Q, Planet X, Planet Zero, Pump Action Sunset, Rachel Rising, Ralph Snart Adventures, Red Wolf. Is that the end of Red Wolf? I think that's the end of Red Wolf.
Is it? We knew it wasn't going to last forever. Is that the final issue? I loved the first two.
Regular. That's issue 6. You're way behind. Regular show, the Clash of the Councils. Rhea, it's cut off. Rhea. Rick and Morty, Robin Hood, ongoing. I like how they have to. I like how Zenoscope has to specify when it's an ongoing.
Helps clear things up.
Rooster Rumble Fight Club. That's an interesting choice of words.
Get ready to rooster.
Rubberman #2, Sadistic, Satan's Hollow, Scooby-Doo Apocalypse. Got to read that.
Sadistic Satan.
Wait, Secret 6 is still going?
It's the last issue this week.
Secret 6 is still going.
It's the last. Dude, I freaking love Gail Simone in Secret 6.
I thought it ended at issue 6. This is issue 14. How have I missed this every week?
Gail Simone got to finish off the book before DC Rebirth. It was a great ending. I love Strix.
I'm going to have to catch up. I liked it, but I thought it got canceled. All right.
No, it got to
Secret Thorn, Secretary's Job? It's a good question mark.
Question.
Seductions? Are we in the porn side again?
I think with a name like Seduction.
Self-storage?
Welcome to the porn side of the con.
Oh, here we go. Ready? Sex. That's the
just
book.
Sex.
Just sex.
It's not sex criminals. It's just sex.
Well, you can't claim that they're, unhonest marketing. I mean, they're just putting it right out there.
Sex criminals, by the way, is just straight up softcore.
Oh, yeah. No, it is. Shaft, Imitation of Life. Someone do the Shaft opening. Someone.
He's a bad mother.
Skin Horse, Sonic Universe, Spider-Man, Tombstone. I have no idea why they're releasing that. Spider-Man Deadpool issue 5. I did know that came out, but that's the only one I didn't get to read. For some reason, my tablet wouldn't download it. It kept giving me errors. I can't even pronounce this, but this book right here.
This one, look at the picture. Look at the pretty pictures.
Stanley's Chakra. I'm going to say it right now. If you're making a comic book, make the name pronounceable. Otherwise, it's hard for anyone to market it for you. Chakra. Star Trek.
Open up them chakras.
Star Wars. Starbrand and Night Mask. Starve. Steam Lore. Steam Wars. Steven Universe. Why are you reading that? Are you reading that?
I like Steven Universe.
Are you reading it?
I love Steven Universe.
Yeah, you and me.
It's fun.
Internet high five. Yeah, there you go. Right,
Gem Bros.
Strayer, Street Fighter versus G.I. Joe. Okay, I tried that book out, and it's literally just, these two are fighting. These two are fighting. These two are fighting.
It's not nearly as good as that sounds like.
Yeah,
that's the game.
Suicide's Most Wanted, Deadpool and Katanas continuing. Suiciders, King of Hell, Final Days of Superman, Superman #52. The Lois and Clark Adventures is still going. I think that's the last issue of that one, but they're already carrying it on. Symmetri, it's that one right there. Tarot, Tech Jacket, Teen Titans #20. Actually, I'm not even gonna lie, I thought that got canceled too.
No, it sadly gets to limp on until it gets good in Rebirth.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Amazing Adventures, Camilo Anthony Special, and then the regular issue, where apparently they're fighting what appears to be tadpoles. Telepathic, Terminal, Thantos Diver, They're Not Like Us, Tokyo Ghost, the Totally Awesome Hulk, Fights Thor, gonna do that issue later. Transformers, All Hail Optimus, Transformers, More Than Meets the Eye. For those of you guys wondering, those are actually two different series currently running.
Oh.
Ultra Cat. I want to read what the Ultra Cat is.
You want to read Grumpy Cat? You want to read the Ultra Cat? Benny has a wealth of cat knowledge.
For the record, the Unbeatable Squirrel Girl, but it looks like softcore porn. It's right here. I just want you all to look at the cover of that.
I finally decided I need to catch up on Squirrel Girl now ever since she guest starred in that Wolverine issue. I'm like, okay, this is cool now.
Pretty good.
I want in.
I love how she gave her Wolverine, and they gave it a name when they were walking it in the next issue.
Yeah, that was funny. That was good.
Unbeatable Squirrel Girl, Volume 3, Uncanny Inhumans, Vanguard, Materia Nigeria Nigra. I don't want to keep trying this word because I feel like it's gonna go in a bad direction.
You can stop after that.
I feel like this is gonna go in a very racist direction if I keep trying to say it. So it's right here. Have fun. Wayward Volume 3. We Are Robin. I think that's over there, isn't it?
That is the last one. Yes.
Yeah. Because Duke is moving over to the main series, right?
Yes, he is. Yeah. As he always should have. What was the point of making a bunch of disposable characters when Duke was obviously the favored son from the beginning?
Yep. Weird Fishes, Weird World. You know, for the record, Weird Fishes could also be a porn. Weird World.
Weird Fishes. That reminds me of that South Park episode where Kanye West is a gay fish. I imagine Weird Fishes meets Kanye.
It's like that.
Or Weird Fishes feet by Kanye.
That'll work. Welcome back, Wildlands. The Witchfinder General 3 and 4 has come out. And 5, and the X-Files. Always at the end of the list.
The truth is out there.
And that is all of the books that came out this week. Holy crap! There's 400 people watching us talk about the videos, the comics that came out this week.
Thanks for showing up, everyone. We weren't sure what the turnout was going to be like.
No, because for those of you guys that don't know, I can't have the chat up while I do this. So when I left the chat to go do the read through, there was 100 people.
And so like a whole bunch of people were like, guys, Benny's reading the comic list. We got to get in there right now.
Don't want to miss any of the good ones.
He won't see the numbers. Yeah, it's 374 technically. I just rounded up. I think I'm allowed to at that big. So, all right, guys. So for those of you guys who are joining us for the first time, because I did promote this on the main channel, which I don't always do. This one we typically go through that whole list, telling you what comics came out, and then we discuss a few key issues.
Yes.
Normally we would probably discuss about 6 to 9 different issues. But two really big things happened this month.
Week.
Before we go into it, because Caitlin did read the 2 big ones, we are going to discuss the 2 lead-ups to DC Rebirth. So real fast, Darkseid War ended.
Yes, it did.
With the big reveal. And for the record, today is going to be a little more spoiler-heavy in the discussions of the comics.
Because it has to be.
We can't not do it, for the record. So if you haven't read the issues yet, we're gonna give a couple spoilers, but nothing too
Save
crazy.
this and watch later and come back when you're done.
So I'm giving you a couple seconds. This is the warning. We don't normally give away too much about the comics, but we just have to today.
It's also nice this week that we have someone like Caitlin who, unlike some of our other guests in the past, actually does know her comics and actually does know what's going on. And we needed the extra, nerd muscle this week to cover what we're going to cover.
And for the record, the big reason why we decided to go ahead and spoil some things this week is because if you're on any kind of social media, it's all been spoiled already.
It's done.
So starting off, Darkseid War ended up with the rebirth of Darkseid. He's now back.
What a weird way to bring him back to the Earth.
You haven't been reading? Have you been reading Darkseid War, Caitlin?
So unfortunately, I've kind of been speed reading through it just so that I can get my points down. I don't sit down and bask in it like I do other comics.
That's fair.
Well, let me quick recap as to what happened. Basically, Darkseid and Anti-Monitor fought. Darkseid died. This Justice League became all kinds of new gods.
They got godlike
powers. They were fighting against the godlike powers. A Grail, which is another Amazon, went off gave
Grail,
birth to
who
a
is
baby.
the daughter of Darkseid, who engineered this whole fight due to a long-standing revenge thing with her mother, Myrina. Then the Justice League, to fight her, had to go get the help of the Crime Syndicate, which are their
crazy.
Evil Earth 3 counterparts.
For the record, I did like her plan, though, because what it all came down to in the end, there was the birth of a baby that was able to suck all of the power of the god into it and then become the new dark side,
which wasn't that
under her control. That, like, it was under her control.
That sounds pretty convenient.
Yeah.
See,
it's under her control. That's super convenient.
See, I didn't like that plan at all, because when, like, the Earth 3 baby absorbed all the powers and became dark, so I'm like, how does that work?
Right, whatever, it worked. She had a dark side under her control.
That gives a whole new meaning to the Office quote that Dwight says when he says, "I have the strength of a grown man and a small baby."
It was that.
It was that baby.
It was literally that, and that's probably why the baby had to become Darkseid, because if it wasn't, the final issue would have just been the Justice League trying to punch a baby.
Oh my god, could you imagine Superman to the moon?
Quick, everyone punch the baby.
Would pay to see this Ultimate Universe 10.
So anyway, what ended up happening was the resolution of that whole thing was the power of the gods went back out. The baby obviously became Darkseid.
And then stopped being Darkseid.
And then he stopped being Darkseid. Darkseid came back, didn't he? Like he didn't come back at the end of the whole thing, did he?
No.
He's gone right now.
He's gone still.
Okay.
Darkseid is gone.
Darkseid is gone now. Okay,
but
so
the
the baby
baby
turned back into a normal baby. The big revelation that came out of this whole thing was, and this is because it basically goes Darkseid War to Final Days of Superman to Rebirth, which is what Caitlin did read, which is what we're going to be discussing.
So they were all very closely linked.
Right. So the fallout of Darkseid War is basically there is no Darkseid anymore. There's no Anti-Monitor anymore. They've been defeated. And what happened here awoke something that was able to slip back into the main universe. Now we'll discuss what that is in DC.
Well, there was a couple other smaller things too that we knew were going to happen anyway. Jesse Cruz is now a Green Lantern. We got to see that go down again because Justice League isn't done. There's still going to be 2 more issues, and those 2 next issues are going to focus on her. Yeah, everything ends at 52.
I didn't realize they weren't done because I've been hanging out in Batman Land, been hanging out in Super Duper. Was kind of on the Justice League train for a little while, and then fell off.
It was easy to fall off.
It was really easy to fall off of that train. There were so many parts that lagged, and I was like, eh.
Yeah.
So anyway, even I'm going to say I wasn't nuts about this finale. I thought there was a major breakdown in villainous motivation. It's like, oh, so this entire event ultimately only lived to serve DC Rebirth.
But that's very DC, unfortunately. I feel like for a lot,
especially Justice League. Justice League is always like that. It always feeds the new event.
I find the things that, like, Justice League is very feeds the new event, and then Superman very much feeds the new event. I mean, I feel like with some of the more kitschy heroes or cartoony heroes, you find the villainous breakdown turns into, well, because I'm very bad.
So anyway, the big fallout of this whole thing was Superman has now been infected with something that combined with everything else that just happened, losing his powers and fighting the god. Is that finishing? That didn't finish, did it?
That's still going on. We still got to wait for Hitch to finish.
Anyway, he fought the god of the sun for Krypton, Rao. And he fought, and he lost his powers and fighting Darkseid. He's basically now been poisoned, and he's going
all of those things together leads
Batman
into
also
Superman.
discovered, and this is the big thing, that the Joker has 3 identities and he's 3 different people.
All stuff that they cover in Rebirth when you read that.
Right. So basically, all of this leads into Rebirth. They opened the door to something to come out of Rebirth. Now, in the Final Days of Superman, which also ended this week, he went around the world. It was a great story, and I'm going to be covering it on my channel. But basically, he went around the world, said goodbye to his friends, and the end of the whole thing. Got his
affairs in order.
Yeah, he got his affairs in order. And the end of the whole thing, there was like a weird handoff of him and the pre-Flashpoint Clark.
It was less a handoff and more of a punch-off where he's like, no, get back to Earth.
You gotta save him, Brian. He punched him down to the world. Either way, I love. I don't know if you guys caught this because did you read this one, Caitlin? Were you on top of the Superman train?
Yeah.
Okay, so instead of ending it where he's just a body that can be buried, they turned him to dust. Like there's no coma moment in this one. He's gone.
No. They made sure he was never coming back. They're like, guys, are you ready for the death of Superman? And we're like, yeah, DC, death of Superman, whatever. And they were like, ashes to ashes, dust to fuck you.
The door has been closed, and yet if you read DC Rebirth, there's something interesting. The Trinity, the Superman family, they know what's up. They know Superman died for real, the one they knew. The rest of the superhero community and the world at large does not know. No. In fact, everyone was looking for Superman. Where did Superman go?
They are, and I do love Lois and Clark, pre-Flashpoint, even commenting, like, the reason he didn't stand up and become Superman right away is because he's like, I died, and I came back. Let's give him some time and see if that's going to happen again.
Let's give him a grace period. He's just in a healing coma.
They literally pulled a Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah. They're like,
sure, he was disintegrated and chopped up into a million pieces, but you never know.
he's actually on Dragon Way. I went up there and said hi.
Dude, New 52 Superman is just training with King Kai right now. He's just trying to catch bubbles.
We've all been waiting for the DBZ Superman crossover.
This is it. This is the
Maybe
lead-in.
this is it.
He's going to come back off Dragon Way, the ultimate crossover ever. So anyway, and this is what this is all leading into, guys, for those of you guys who are wondering. DC Rebirth. That
80-page giant.
80-page giant, which I was tweeting as I went through the pages, like my gasping moments.
Of course.
First off,
Did you just tweet page 2?
No, I literally, I was like, page 10. Oh my, OMFG.
At one point, did you go, I literally can't even?
Benny can't even all day. Here's the thing.
Benny can't even, and he's getting a Starbucks.
80 pages of just blistering fan service. You just want to rub all over.
That's literally all it was. Like, so have you been
Jones.
reading New 52? Are you pretty glued to it? Were you reading pre-New 52?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So before we go into my and Joel's opinions, as we've been talking now about the other two books,
Yes.
how did you feel about this? For the record, for those wondering, I'm gonna hit the high points real fast so you understand what we're talking about. First off, Wally West was reintroduced. We'll explain that a little bit better in a minute. They went a little bit deeper into there are 3 Jokers. That is official. It wasn't just written off to disappear. We saw signs that the Watchmen are part of the main world.
Oh, yes.
And we saw a lot of discussions of other characters.
And
like
several beloved recurring lower tier characters are now back.
And they even commented on love interests that got broken up, like Green Arrow and Black Canary.
Oh, that touched me so
that
good.
feeling when they were, when they were like, it's like, and then when they look at each other, there's a spark, and then I was like, "There's a spark in my heart right now."
And their lives are empty and lonely because they don't love each other like they did when I remember them. And Green Arrow is my favorite, and his relationship with Black Canary is like my favorite.
I know it's my OTP. I'm like reading this, and I'm like, "My ship is sailing. My ship is sailing. Where's
Finally.
the wine?"
I did love when he went through the whole thing
Oh.
about love, though. They had a little scene at the ending that showed like Oliver Queen in his bed and Dinah in her bed.
And their worlds
they're
apart.
Separate. Their worlds apart. And they're like, they're supposed to be together. And I loved Wally's comment because basically this whole book is narrated by Wally West.
Yes, and
is
I
the
love
POV.
that because you could really tell. So something that I really appreciate are like the little signposts and the little magical production things that they kind of do to signify the inner monologue. Writing wise, this is one of the better DC comics or DC comic events that I've read. Because
You wrote
I feel
it?
like with a lot, I know, right?
Are you Jeff Johns? Jeff Johns was just a pen name.
Jeff Johns in drag, darling.
I could see
What
it.
a twist.
Right? M. Night Shyamalan Ding Dong wrote my life story, I say.
Didn't see that coming, did ya?
But no, it's so for Wally, I really liked the fact that they incorporated his color scheme right away.
Yeah.
Ooh, yes, they did.
I really liked that you could tell it was his voice and his tone. It was like they got somebody who was, well, of course they did. Somebody who was, they're very, very well acquainted.
Johns
but
wrote
not
him
just,
for years, so there you
yeah,
go.
he's written him for years, of course. And they got the right writer to do it. And not only that, but the writer approached it from an angle that he was comfortable with and that he knew how he could tell the story from in the right way. And I like it when writers do that. He didn't force himself into Bruce's voice. He didn't force himself into the voice of a character that he wasn't familiar with. It was like he was putting on, his favorite pair of shoes, you know?
Yeah.
What I liked about this, I don't know if you guys caught on to this whole thing, but I felt like Wally was everyone who didn't agree with the New 52.
Yes.
Because the whole thing with Wally was,
yes.
this is wrong. Like, we rolled back 10 years. We lost relationships. We lost stuff that people, and everything that he commented that was lost was the stuff people complained about.
Oh, yeah.
He didn't comment on things that went right with the New 52. He was like,
Commented on all the stuff that broke our hearts.
yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
Why is everyone younger? Why are there no more sidekicks? Why does no one love each other anymore? Why is everything dark and gray? What happened to the old heroes? Where are the old guys?
Right, and I love how instead of like just playing it off like they're doing at DCU, where they're like, New 52 kind of didn't happen, we're going back to the way things were. They're like, all of this was a giant plot by this mystery guy that we don't know to weaken our heroes.
It also kind of redeems Barry Allen of Flashpoint Paradox being like, no, Flashpoint wasn't his fault.
Yeah.
Someone came in and screwed with it when the door was open is what happened. Barry's fine.
Which I really like that. It was kind of, it's him looking back on what's happened throughout the New 52 is kind of like what happens when you're leaving your 20s and you're looking back on like fumbling through this whole era of your early to mid 20s.
It's taking stock, isn't it?
It's taking stock of just how badly you fucked up in life.
Yeah. Yeah.
You got
It's really good, and it's kind of interesting because to parallel it with the Steve Rogers Captain America that just came out. Not going to go too much into it right now, but
Because that's our next topic.
but to parallel it just a little bit, it's sort of like this whole DC hero ship is what we want it to be. We want DC to go back to those sort of colorful, very black and white, good guys being good.
We want our heroes to be role models again.
We want our heroes to be role models again. We want to go back to that almost sort of golden age route.
So much to the point that the older Superman is now literally the new Superman.
Exactly. And when you're looking at sort of the new Captain America that came out, we see a further degradation into darkness, heroes not really being heroes, not really being role models anymore.
It's weird because that's kind of the direction that DC was going in for the longest time. Mm-hmm. And one thing that and the reason why DC's always pulled through in the end, and whatever they do weird things, is because the characters in DC are iconic and they're mythological. Yep. And I don't doubt that Marvel and DC characters 500 years from now are going to be like people are going to look back at our pop culture nowadays they worshipped those things.
They're pop culture icons. They're like Popeye or Bugs Bunny. They'll outlive us.
Yeah. It's going to be like Ovid. I imagine, too, if my house is buried into an ancient civilization and they see all this Harley Quinn bullshit, they'll be like, this was a temple to the trickster goddess.
This goddess was worshipped by the people who wore red and black as adornment.
And I feel like as though she was always at war with this other goddess known as Dead Pulio.
Dead Pulio.
Right, it'll be changed a little.
The scarred chimichanga god.
He really enjoyed Mexican food.
Which
that's what they gave him tributes of, chimichangas.
We see it here in the historical texts.
By the way, speaking of chimichangas, moving to Texas, there are really good chimichangas here.
Mm-hmm. Real quick, because I know because I'm just going through the comments here. There's actually a comment in here we do need to touch on. People are stating the New 52 is officially over. The New 52 isn't officially over. The New 52 is a timeline, and that timeline is continuing.
It's funny. It's funny how they came in and said, "Look, the New 52 wasn't a reboot. It's the same universe you always knew. It's just with 10 years missing."
Right. So basically, New 52 isn't gone. The moniker of New 52 that they put on them, they got rid of like 2 years ago, and it wasn't because they ended the New 52. It's because it wasn't new, and there wasn't 52 of them anymore. So it was 100% pointless to keep using that title. But the timeline is remaining. We're not rebooting the timeline. Supposedly, we'll see what
I imagine they're going to do is they're going to slowly phase us. Just because this is how comic books have done this before with reboots and rebirths and bullshit like this. They're going to slowly ease us out of the New 52 timeline, and then we're going to be full blown into the Rebirth timeline.
Yeah,
and I think that they're rebooting and sort of revamping and doing new character designs and all this other new bullshit within the New 52 timeline. That's going to be relevant in Rebirth, but they can't do it all at once because it would probably piss too many people off.
Yeah.
And we still need to finish out a lot of storylines before we can officially move into a full sort of rebirth.
Well, they said it's not really going to be a reboot. I think the goal of Rebirth at the end of this era of Rebirth, is just going to be to bring back what everyone wants, so everyone stops complaining. The biggest token for that is Wally West. We want real Wally West back.
Wally West was on the top for the long time, and yet what I love about it is they bring Ginger Wally back, but they don't. Me too. But here's the thing. They bring him back, but they don't bury new TV show equivalent Wally. They find the smartest way to do it.
We need him for the TV show.
Right, we need him for the TV show. And plus, I also feel like that's the Flash writers being like, we're not getting rid of him. We made him and he's staying. And I love the way they do it.
And we love him and he is our child.
And I love in the Rebirth issue.
Season.
They finally, because if you've been reading Flash, they've been building it for him having powers. And he finally, Wally West, he has powers. He's part of the Speed Force. Oh, by the way, he's my cousin that we've never really talked about, but we're cousins and we have been all along.
It's because we're both named Wally.
They just didn't talk about me because I was the family screw up.
It's the thing. They never talked about Wally because if you read Titans Hunt, when they defeated Mr. Twister, the original 10 Titans, part of locking him away all Freddy Krueger style was they had to forget, and because Wally got locked in the Speed Force for all that time, everyone forgot about him until now.
Well, actually, at the end of Titans Hunt, they even
he was
comment.
like, Linda! And she was like,
that broke my
sorry,
heart.
new phone, who did?
We have to go to that in a minute. I do want to talk about on his
Jumping
appearances.
ahead.
No, what I wanted to say with the you made me. I've changed thought. What did you just say?
Titans Hunt.
Titans Hunt. They commented at the end of Titans Hunt that someone's missing.
Yeah,
they hinted at Rebirth. So
they did.
So anyway, but Wally goes through. Wally's back, and the Linda moment was so sad because it was like a page of you like she's gonna remember. She's gonna remember.
It's all gonna be okay.
She didn't remember. But the most touching moment ever, I teared up just a little for it.
Me too.
When
Okay,
he found Barry,
good. I'm glad I'm not
Barry
the only...
is looking at him, and he's like, Barry, you don't remember me.
When he
and
says
I know
goodbye.
it. And he's like, goodbye, Barry. Like, you just
Thank
remember,
you
I
for
always
being my
liked you. We
mentor
were always...
and my father figure and telling me that every second counted. Goodbye.
Yeah, and he's like fading away, and then Barry's like, Wally, and he grabs him, and you're like,
not.
yes!
It was a Doctor Who moment. Or Doctor Who moment. I was telling this was
a Doctor Who moment.
Today, everyone lives. Everyone lives just for today.
I was like, I made this really weird noise as I was reading that part last night, and my boyfriend, I could hear him from the other room going, "We have to bag and board that, you know."
I was reading it while sitting in the hotel room down in Chicago, and my wife's in the shower, and I kept going like, "Oh my god!" And she's like, "What's wrong?" I'm like, "They just brought Wally back." And then I was like, "Oh my god!" They just brought the comedian in. And then I'm like, "Oh my god!" She's like, "What's wrong?" I'm like, "Barry found Wally."
He pulled him out of the Speed Force.
It was like a roller coaster of emotions throughout Rebirth.
And
it went from like whoa to aw to
To what?
But then Barry's speech about how could I possibly forget you? I'm so sorry, and
so good.
Yeah, it was so good. It was so well put together.
It's a way that only Johns can do it, where he works that continuity magic, where he makes it look like a magic trick, like "Hata!" And now he's back.
And honestly, I think it's the best way to bring back Wally after forgetting him for 5 years.
True.
Yes.
And
because honestly, at this point, if they just introduced him, it would have been like, and Wally's back, whatever.
And that reacquainting us with his inner monologue and the pacing of that was so good. Because the way that it starts, we don't see him. We don't really know him. We just see the words and we see the color scheme. And that's it.
Right.
And then you start to see the light, and then you start to see the lightning. And then you kind of remember and you're like, oh shit, is Wally happening? And then you see him and you're like, Wally, I missed you, buddy.
I think the first 10 pages was literally the reader. Like
yeah.
things are wrong, yada yada yada, and then that full page spread. I'm Wally West, and I'm the fastest man alive. And you're like,
so beautiful.
I'm sure you guys caught this too at the back of the comic when you keep reading and they show you more panels of books to come, and it's the new Titans book with Wally in it with a new costume. Like, oh good, we get to have our cake and eat it too. Wally West can be with his friends, and new Wally can be on the new younger team. We get both.
Right.
I was looking at that Teen Titans cover and I was like, Mama knows what she's getting graded next.
Totally, I agree. It's going to be a good.
So to keep us within our time limits here, let's move over to the next big thing that got this. Now everyone's saying Watchmen returning. This isn't officially. I don't know if this is 100% merger, because all we saw was the comedian's pin. That could mean a number of things, like a multiverse crossover,
and the planet, and quotes from Dr. Manhattan moving the watch and everything.
But it could be. It could be full-blown Watchmen brought into the universe. Mm-hmm. It could be multiversal. They exist in the multiverse now. We're going to see crossovers in that manner. It could be either one of these. How do you guys feel about both those ideas?
The question is, too, you have to figure at what point in Watchmen's history is this happening? This has to be after, right? And if so, is it just Dr. Manhattan, or is it just Adrian screwing around?
Yeah. I think something that could potentially be is that their story happens somewhere in the multiverse and then they're being brought over. That's kind of what I feel might be happening, but I personally would probably be okay with either a multiverse plot, and I think that could work really, really well. There's maybe also a little bit better, but
There's also some theories, and they seek to imply, did Dr. Manhattan create the DC universe now, or at least this 10-year version of it? And if so, for what purpose did he do it?
Right, like maybe he's the big baddie, the one that found the door because of everything.
I like that tinfoil hat theory. I think you could do so many interesting things with it writing-wise, and there are signposts for it.
And here's my thing. Okay, so the Watchmen heroes are based on the Charleston heroes, which weren't part of DC, but eventually got brought into it. Was Dr. Manhattan attempting to recreate his world and do it right, and because of it, we end up with guys like The Question and Blue Beetle, who they make a point of showing Ted Kord in this, and his bug ship, which is just Night Owl stuff.
And I love how he's like, portable bat cave. Why don't you want this, Jaime Reyes? Come on. And Jaime's like, I just want to get rid of the Beetle. He's like, but we can be superheroes.
Be my fun sidekick, Jaime. And Jaime's like, no, you weird old man.
And then he flies away.
Stop.
So because there's not much to go on with the Watchmen. We could tinfoil hat this all day long, but we have nothing.
And we will.
So
yes,
removing the tinfoil hat theories, removing how fun it could be, how do you feel about them being brought in any capacity at all?
I feel good.
Good.
They seem to be setting them up as villains, which I would not expect, and I'm actually kind of excited for this idea where it's like, we weakened the DC universe. We made you darker and grittier. We made you miserable just like us so we could come in and take over your world.
They're like a really bad ex that won't leave you alone. We made you darker, grittier, unpleasant to hang around.
And now we're going to take your toaster because our toaster's broken.
I like how you two are just rolling with this.
You got to think, like, if Adrian is the bad guy behind this, where he's like, well, I saved my world, and now I'm going to save your world, too. Saved in finger quotes.
And I love how it's so vague right now. Like, literally, he just... Now, here's the kicker, and here's one thing. Because the comedian's pin... This is going to lead to the next discussion point.
My pin?
Yeah, the comedian... Yeah, your pin. Yeah. The comedian's pin was found when Bruce was trying to figure out the 3 Joker thing. Yeah. So we've discovered that there are 3 Jokers. How do you feel about that? If there are 3 Jokers, because he makes a point to show New 52 Joker. He makes a point to show Red Hood Joker. And if I'm wrong,
Joker.
And I was like, in 1940s Joker, the original. So we pretty much know who the 3 are. We don't know why there are 3 Jokers.
Also, we've seen the art of what the Joker is going to look like, and he's dressing like Jared Leto. He's got the white suit and the hair that looks a bit like your hair, Benny, actually. He stole your haircut.
So the question is, how do you feel about the 3 Jokers? Because I feel like this is, honestly, while as cool, they could write a cool story around this, I feel like this is kind of a cop-out to, we wrote 3 different origins to the Joker. He's immortal with Dynesium. He's a criminal who just had a bad day, and he's just a guy who had a bad day, and he's a former gang leader, full-blown Red Hood. That feels almost like a cop-out, like, they're all real.
I'm thinking because there's like a dozen Batman books, I'm thinking each Batman book gets their own Joker now.
Well, I feel like, and that's because the Joker is one of those characters, a lot like Harley. I mean, the general Batman universe is very much like this. Every time a new artist or a new writer gets to take over kind of that franchise, they really make it their own, and they take all of the licensing that they need to really create their own universe within this sort of boundary. Yeah. So, I mean, the thing... I kind of like the idea that there are 3 different Jokers, but mostly because I feel like DC has been acquainting us with this possibility for a while, and they've even done it through the Gotham TV show, which I found very interesting.
I can't believe someone mentioned Gotham in a positive light. That's good for you. You should get a gold star for that.
Thanks. Well, I'm I'm a silver lining type of person. But
I like that Tank Girl is a Joker. I love that friggin' Tank Girl gets to be a Joker. That's pretty sweet.
She deserves it.
I love that actress so much.
She's fantastic.
Oh, God, yeah.
I kind of lost my shit when I saw that. I was like, huh!
She's also the voice of Livewire on the Superman animated series, so she knows her
did not know that, and that makes me so happy.
She totally is.
But they've been signposting for the fact that the Joker and his sickness and his madness is almost like a virus that can be transported to the right person. So if you're fucked up enough,
they actually toyed with that idea at Arkham Knight also.
They did. And they've been toying with this. DC has been toying with this idea for a long time because they've needed to refresh the Joker as a villain for quite a long time now. And I think this is their way of doing it. And this is their way of being able to justify, even if one Joker leaves or dies or expires in some way, another Joker will come to take his place, which is kind of interesting because they've done a little bit the opposite of Harley. They signposted that the Joker had other Harleys, but that this...
Which I hated that story so much.
That sucked. But
that was a mean-spirited story that they slipped under the rug really quickly.
They did. But they solidified this Harley as being this Harley in that story. She is unique from the other women that he tried to create into his Harley. She is independent and has taken that moniker for herself and now owns it in a true way, opposed to the previous Harleys that always were defeated by him.
Right. It's a lot less toxic relationship, especially because, we want to make her into a big star and sell merchandise and have her on the kiddie TV show that we're trying to sell to women, and we can't do that when she's an abused spouse. So
yeah, and it's one of those things where something I found that's a really common complaint with the New 52 Harley is we don't like her because she's not feminist enough like the original, and so much of me is looking at it and going, the fuck?
Did you read the original? She is a poster child for battered women and toxic relationships.
She even sings a magical little song where one of the lines is, "And I thought it was a lock when you hit me in the pock," and I was like, This is so feminist, you guys. A pickup character getting the shit kicked out of her by her abusive lover.
I mean, on that side note, I personally am liking the new Harley Quinn run because, like we discussed before the show, I like that they're actually giving her character. It's not funny. Just Joker and Harley. It's Harley.
The book has a great supporting cast in it.
It does, and they've been doing a really good job with her in the New 52. I think she's fucking awesome.
Yeah. She's grown by leaps and miles.
She's probably one of the best things that came out of the New 52 as a whole.
She's a new pillar of their thing, which I think is hilarious. When they had an investor meeting, they're like, "Yep, Batman, Justice League, Superman, Harley Quinn. Yep, she's one of our pillars now."
Let's fucking do it. She moved from a cautionary tale into her own independent standalone character. And I really like that. And they even take her through the story of abuse where you are defined by your abuser, you go through your recovery, you go through your self-discovery, and you emerge as an independent, fully actualized individual.
And in a
which
nice
is
little...
a great story to read and is relatable to so many women, which I really like. People who are toting it as non-feminist just confuse me. Because she didn't get her superpowers from Ivy? Sorry, I'm quoting the clickbait article. She does get her superpowers from Ivy in the New 52. God!
And in a nice twist, too, what I like what Palmiotti does in that and what he's never actually given a lot of credit for is that book is filled with a lot of fantasy and dream sequences. Yeah. And it's showing that even though she is out from the Joker's shadow and even though she's free, he's always right there in the back of her mind.
We do got to bring this back over to DC Rebirth because there wasn't even a Harley book this week.
Sorry.
If there was a Harley release, we could have talked about that for days.
Damn. But... Get her back next time for Harley.
Okay, the next Harley conversation?
Yeah. The next, I think the Harley book comes out next week or the week after. We'll bring you back for Harley.
We'll pencil you in for Harley Day.
Okay, so anyway, with DC Rebirth, because I think this all stemmed out of the Three Joker theory.
Yes, it did.
They haven't. Obviously, we have no information on Three Joker theory. It could be three guys working a tangent. Could be generations. Could be the multiverse splintered, and they got three different actual versions of them.
I saw a crazy, again, another tinfoil hat thing, but this one actually kind of looked to have some legs for it. So you saw, again, the comedian pin when talking about the three Jokers. You see a dude coming to talk to Superman calling himself Mr. Oz, Ozymandias. Then they showed the thing for the Tom King Batman, and they showed up here in this issue too. Two very golden age looking heroes, two very Watchmen looking individuals, a man and a woman, not unlike Silk Spectre and Night Owl, who say, we need to go to Gotham and save it from Batman. And I'm like, okay, so did they get re-envisioned for this universe? Do they forget who they are now? Is what happened?
There are so many questions, and I think that's really great for a Rebirth issue just because it gets readers hyped and it gets them very interested in what's to come. And this is the most excited I've been about DC and a new storyline from them in a long time, because even if they've made a couple changes that I may not necessarily agree with, I'm still incredibly intrigued, and I want to see if they can pull all of it off. They've got a really great writing team. They've got a really great plot setup so far. I love the fact that Wally has returned.
Oh yeah.
I'm just like, can I have number 2 and can I have it right?
And then it felt so organic
I
too.
mean, and this is
Yeah,
another thing
it
too.
feels
Unless I'm
organic
wrong,
and
and I wanted to check this. I don't think there is a number 2. Like this is it.
No. This is just the new status quo that in June we get Rebirth number 1s for everything.
Sorry, maybe I misspoke a little bit. I mean, like, can we continue this?
Get the next chapter.
And that's what I think is great about this book. I'm agreeing with you because DC Rebirth is a great setup for the status quo and what's going to happen. It makes me want to read every book to see where I can get my answers again. I feel like when New 52 first started and we didn't know what was going on. The whole Trinity of Sin and Pandora and all.
Yeah, everyone was looking for Pandora, which hilariously, I love that Jeff Johns had the balls to bury his own creation, Pandora, in this book. She gets a little segment where she's like, "Oh, woe is me! I've carried the secret of the unit." Dead.
Yeah.
No one cared about you, Pandora. I'm sorry.
Well, I mean, her and
Killed us,
Vibe were 2
baby.
books that he tried so hard to make do good, and it didn't. Another thing that people have mentioned, just so we can touch on it, is once again, no answers. This is all just setting up for the books. Wonder Woman has a twin brother.
Yes, his name is Jason, like Jason and the Argonauts.
I was told when they said it's Jason, I'm like, is it the Argonaut Jason? Like, are we
Should
gonna?
be.
No,
should
it
be.
totally is. There's no way it's not. They're not going to be like, no, it's a different Jason. He went to another school. Like, they're not going to do that.
Jason the Spartan. He actually knows Jason the Argonaut.
Which actually, you know what? To put it in perspective, too, that was a big twist. That they only say his name in the DC Rebirth book. They only mention it in the final issue of Justice League. That bugged me. Where it's like, really? So this is what it all came down to. Grail's plan. Oh, a prophecy. First man to walk on the Themyscira. That went nowhere. Go read DC Rebirth if you want to see what it actually meant.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that was interesting. We know nothing, obviously, about that. Everything we know nothing about, because they want you to go read Batman to find out about the Jokers. They want
you to
Superman
go read Wonder Woman.
Deciding he's going to take over as Superman to fight against Lex Luthor. They want you to go read Superman. The whole thing was setting up for Rebirth, but it did it in such a beautifully and magical way. It just spoke to the reader. It was like so much of everything in there was literally like, here's everything we did wrong. It's going right now.
Well, and a nice thing, too, that you...
as a content, like, marketing person, this is how you do content marketing.
Yeah, you do.
I'm going to buy all of these.
It's pretty. It's really pretty.
And I do love, and before we switch over to Captain America, which we are going to do, I do love how the end of the book actually ends at like 65 or whatever, and then there's like 15 pages of, here's all the books that are related to everything we just talked about.
I know, at first I was like, is this previews? What?
Yeah.
Man, it's an 80-page giant, but like 15 of them are just ads.
Yeah. It's like, look at all these previews.
Yeah, I love how they were like 80-page giant, but they just didn't tell you the ads. No.
Oh, there's 80 pages in it. You can count.
It's a little bit like reading the Tomboy trade, where it's like, oh yeah, and our indie publisher has a lot of other stuff we do too. Look at it.
Yeah, exactly. And for the record, so basically what this does is set up not only all of these individual events, but the actual Rebirth event itself, which is now kicking off. Is status quo, but we have this unnamed villain that is able to, I think who did he kill? It was Owlman on the chair and Metron.
Yes, I'm glad you mentioned that. So there's another cosmic character dead in Metron, and the last member of the crime syndicate dead too, so they're all gone.
Right,
now.
so basically the new gods are gone as far, I guess Highfather and all them are technically around.
Yeah.
But Darkseid and his army are gone, replaced by the Furies. Ancient Monitor's gone. Metron's now gone. And Owlman's gone. And
Darkseid is a baby.
I know they'll never touch on this, but is it just me, or is this infinite power chair just chilling on the moon now?
It kind of is. Unless someone was there to pick it up. Yeah, it's just kind of hanging out.
Unless somebody shoved it down a plot hole. I think it's still up there.
But man, if you got that chair, you'd have to hose Owlman's blood off.
I know. Yeah.
There's a lot of cleaning involved with infinite power, and I'm just not down for that.
Metron sat on that chair for like how long now? It's probably got his like eternal butt stink in it. He just gotta like Febreze it.
It's got like an imprint at this point.
That's the only reason Metron wanted the
never
chair
learned
back.
the true secret about it. It's actually a floating toilet.
I'm glad you mentioned the
chair.
I'm glad we touched on the Owlman thing too. So the reason Owlman got killed by a blinding blue light, the Dr. Manhattan, was because he was searching for the truth of the universe. And if you remember, all the way back when Darkseid War started, Metron and the Anti-Monitor said, they can never know the truth of the universe. They can never know what it's all about. Now, I had assumed what they meant was the Flashpoint was what they were talking about. But obviously they've kind of tweaked it and changed it now at the end and go, no, we were actually talking about the Watchmen. You didn't know that because we kept it nice and vague, but that's what we were really talking about.
Yeah.
You gotta keep it nice and vague. Like, I feel like being a comic book writer is like towing that line between just vague enough and just a teeny bit specific, so that we can all open up our own tinfoil hat shops.
If you chisel it in stone, people will complain and it will be harder for the next guy.
Yeah, you don't want to be a dick to the next guy. It's just bad business.
Or you can just be Brian Michael Bendis and go, I don't care what they wrote before.
I don't.
Superior Iron Man, he was evil? Not anymore in my book. I'm right.
I dug this plot hole. See it? And now I'm shoving everything into it.
It's that Doc Samson was dead? Not anymore, he's not.
Yeah, I know, yeah.
It's like, I don't feel like him being dead. I don't feel like that, so maybe he's not.
At least he had the common courtesy to make a joke. If it was like, Doc Samson, I thought you were dead. I got better.
It got better.
At least they can say there was a 6-month gap between Secret Wars. There's any number of ways he could have come back.
He just Monty Python logics the whole thing, and then that's how it works out.
Which let me put it that way. Now that Doc Samson is back and that Bendis brought him up out of nowhere, I am super suspicious of Doc Samson now. Because why would you pull such a specific character back from the dead if he wasn't going to be doing something?
He's just kind of like, I'm being inconspicuous.
Can someone check and make sure he's not a Skrull or an LMD or something while we're at this?
I don't know, there's a lot of LMDs.
It's
and speaking of LMDs, we have a potential character that could be an LMD or a Skrull.
I'm glad you said that. That's
Hydra.
A good segue. Is that the thing now? Are we officially calling him Captain Hydra now?
I've dubbed that. I need you guys all to tweet that out right now. # Captain Hydra.
You're trying to start like I was trying to start Batmech and Ultra Pim is what you're trying.
I'm gonna so anyway. So rundown of this one real quick. Captain America is obviously back. He has 2 new little sidekicks. He's working with Sharon Carter.
Free Spirit.
They very clearly made older than him. They wanted you to know she's much older than him at this time.
Yeah, in her facial art, I'm like, I don't remember Sharon being this old.
Not that old, no. But long story short, what everyone is freaking out about, we've been told in the history that Steve Rogers' father supposedly beat his mother.
Which we saw in the Remember run that he was a piece of shit.
Right, which we comes into, someone stops it, shows Steve and his mother the Hydra Association long before Project Rebirth.
Much like in the real life history of America, where there was like Nazi clubs in America back before World War II.
A Nazi club and before World War II. So what ended up happening was, because of the whole comic, you're like, oh, this is interesting. And the comic ends in the last few pages. Steve throws one of the new sidekicks out of the plane, walks over, goes on about how ideals need to be upheld, and then says, "Hail Hydra."
Yep.
That's it. That's what we have. That everyone's
At
talking
least
about.
it was Jack Flag.
Yeah.
It wasn't like he was like Falcon, throwing Falcon out
But
the
Jack
plane.
Flag was cooler than he had ever been in this issue.
No, they're like, let's put a lot of effort into Jack Flag, and then. But I like that they killed him after he said, "Siri, play."
Yeah, but
I was like, all right, if we're bringing that boombox shit back again, I'm done.
play my song.
So
Play Good Vibrations.
everyone's freaking out about the fact that he is supposedly they're retconning his entire history.
What a silly thing to be upset about.
There's 2 arguments in this house that I'm seeing, and we'll talk about those first, then we'll talk about why we all disagree with the arguments.
Okay.
The biggest one that I see that everyone likes to rant and rave about is that the 2 creators of Captain America were 2 Jewish individuals during World War II, and that by even implying, even if it's just for one issue, which for the record, this could be. This could be a 1-issue thing, like Superior Spider-Man, where the very next issue they got rid of it.
It's true. I was gonna say I don't know if these people who are upset read a lot of comics, but crazy shit happens in the final page all the time.
So anyway, though, the argument is that even implying it for 1 issue is an insult to the creators.
Apparently.
Okay. So I know you have a lot to say in this, Caitlin.
Okay, so I just want to bring up something that's kind of always been important to me with the Captain America comics, is that since 1941, when Captain America first came out, Captain America has always been a commentary on our political state, how we view ourselves, how the world views us, and how we as a country react to conflict.
Yeah. And you've gotten a lot of interesting stories out of that, like during the Nixon years when Captain America says, "I'm done with America, I'm going to become nomad now," or even like
or as this variant says, Captain America punching Hitler in the face.
Yeah, exactly. Or
Like
even
classic.
stuff they had to go back and retcon, being like, "Hey, remember when Cap was like really angry against communists and everything?"
Yeah, remember
that wasn't
that?
actually Steve though. That was some other crazy dude who put on the costume for a bit. He's the Grand Dictator now. It's fine.
Yeah, exactly. And they even brought him back as like they were like he looks exactly like Steve Rogers because he had plastic surgery to do it, but he's not the actual Steve.
Man, I
Rogers.
wish Peggy Carter got a season 3 so they could tell that story.
Oh, I know, right?
I was so
would've
upset
been
they never got to
amazing.
tell that.
I want Netflix to save Peggy Carter. I feel like there's enough money in it that they will, because there's no way that bastard child Shield still gets a show and Peggy Carter gets canned. Sorry.
Hey, Shield's doing
Little
some
Mac.
interesting stuff. They did Hive this season.
So anyway, okay.
Yeah.
So that's argument
That's a
one.
fair response.
Argument one
Anyway.
is that the creators were Jewish, and that even implying it is an evil thing. Argument number two is that it's ruining the ideals of a character that stands for America, and I've literally seen people stating they are no more Marvel. They're pulling them all off their pull list. This is beyond belief. And then I loved even Chris Evans tweeted, hashtag Hell Hydra.
Oh, Chris,
I
you're
actually
a good one.
like that people are so angry, because to be quite honest, so just to I'm going to monologue for a brief second here because I'm super passionate about this comic, and I actually think it's well done for what it's trying to say. We start in 1926 when Steve is saying and is reflecting back in his inner monologue. It just takes the right moment for somebody to really decide if they're going to be a hero or not. Obviously, I'm paraphrasing. All right, we see that 1926 was when Hitler solidified the Nazi Party and truly rose to power. We have constantly been told within our current political dialogue to look at the rise of Trump in power and compare it to 1926 and Hitler's original rise to power. There's a lot of Trump parallels, and there's a lot of parallels with Captain America. When we first start reading it, we see Captain America deciding to become a hero in a desperate situation, paralleled with Robbie kind of jumping on the Trump Red Skull train and deciding to become a villain. In the end, we see that Captain America was not deciding in his moment of desperation, in America's moment of desperation, to become a hero, but to become another member of Hydra. And what we're seeing right now is a commentary, I feel, anyway, just to deconstruct it. I might be reading too much into it, who knows.
Plus, this is comics, so it could always be like brainwashing or a robot or a clone or anything.
They're probably going to do some stupid brainwashing bullshit and get rid of it all, but I don't think that's the point of this comic. I think the point of this comic is to use Captain America as a vessel to make this commentary. As Americans, we are in this desperate situation where people are unemployed, people are suffering, and yet we are seeing an exponential favoritism towards toxicity.
Oh, yeah.
We are not heroes anymore in the eyes of the world or in the eyes of ourselves. And
as
why?
a Canadian, as someone who lives outside your country, I think I speak for every other nation in the world.
Exactly. And why on earth should Captain America, for every second of his days, be a hero when America's no longer one? His reflection as Hydra is a reflection of our current state. And we watch those parallels being portrayed throughout this comic in actually a very brilliant way. And I don't think that it should be dismissed as just shitty. Yeah, it's a gimmick, but it's a gimmick that does
everything in comics is a gimmick.
Right.
Yeah, and it's a gimmick that should be looked at with some kind of meaning. I think it's totally dismissive of what the Captain America comics truly mean. To just say it's bullshit, nobody should care about it. It's all farcical. I hate it. I don't want to look at it. No,
I feel like
we really need to look at what our country is becoming, and we can do that through this comic book lens.
Totally.
Well, you're not wrong at all. And I think this is the story that they were trying to tell earlier with Sam Wilson, but it wasn't working. Because Sam Wilson literally has an arc called Not My Captain America, in which he's standing for his ideals versus
and he's still doing
because
that.
of how corrupt America is. That's the whole point behind it.
And
now,
I
I think we've gone a little farther by turning
together is really important.
Because it's the same writer. And another thing about this Captain America, it's a really organic sequel to Standoff. And like for everyone saying, Nick Spencer hates Captain America. No, he doesn't. Go back and read Standoff. He gave him his youth back. He gave a very touching story about him fighting Crossbones as an old man, but still sticking in there.
But the fact of the matter is, with the Hydra thing, and I 100%, Nick Spencer is known for telling stories like this. Like, he'll tell a funny, goofy story that has a great behind-the-scenes meaning of the whole thing.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly.
If you want to go ones that are a little more obvious about behind the scenes, his Ant-Man run was all about a father struggling to take care of his daughter while trying to maintain. That's what the story's about. I mean, and like that one's a little more obvious, but like
because it's a comedy book.
What I'm stating is he's not a crappy writer. He's not just somebody they handed the reins over to, and he just bombed it in issue 1. Now, there are a couple other reasons why I think this happened. Before we go into, like, we should probably go into like a top 5 ways, like David Letterman styles, ways it's going to be corrected.
Yes, exactly. Because they're going to switch this around, but I do think that the writer is just using this for right now to kind of make his commentary of, this is the overarching political message that this run is going to be about.
Right.
And he's well known for that, Nick Spencer, to which many people online are like, oh my God, stop putting politics in my Captain America comic. I just want to read a superhero book.
Has always been political.
He is. Always.
He wears a flag. He is a walking, talking flag man.
And the thing is, too, is that one of the big messages in Captain America is that you can still be critical of your country and love your country.
Oh, yeah.
People saying that this whole criticism of America and of Captain America in this comic is un-American, that's fucking bullshit, all right? You need to question your fucking country once in a while.
Now,
for
the record, just go with that. Even Captain America has in the past before questioned, never to the extreme of Hydra, but that's how he became Nomad, and that's how when he came back from Winter Soldier, he just let Bucky keep going because he didn't believe a lot of the beliefs going on. Yeah. I mean, this has happened multiple times. Hydra's a big of a jump, but we'll see.
Hydra's an extreme, but our country's in an extreme right now. Yeah. So I think when it comes to the paralleling, it's pretty apt.
Totally. And also, too, it's like, you know what, guys, like, give it more than one issue. Do you really think Hydra spent a bunch of time and effort building a guy who kicked their ass for 75 years? There's got to be a twist in here.
No, first off, that's my first thing. And that is actually what's irritating me. I don't 100% agree with, I'm not sure I like the idea of the storyline of him being Captain Hydra, but I'm willing to read the arc and see where it goes. This is where I get first a little irritated with non-comic book fans, because I feel like a lot of people who are like, I'm dropping my pull list, I'm not reading, they've been reading comics for 6 months, or they bought them last week or something like that, and now they're like, oh, it's not what I want. First off, Captain America, what do you want? Captain America to be doing the exact same thing for 75 years? He goes to Germany, he fights a Nazi. Oh no, he won again.
People who are intense purists, it's kind of like, just go back to the golden age where you belong.
Literally 75 years. If you want to see him go fight, you cannot tell me you've read all 75 years of side stories.
I want to sit those people down. And it's true, there's a new comic reader born every day. I want to sit the people down who are truly incensed about this. Actually truly incensed, and say, okay, you think this is crazy. Let me tell you a tale about red and blue electric Superman and Agent Dick Grayson and Superior Spider-Man.
Super basket weaving. That was great.
Or the time the Punisher became a black man.
Oh yeah, that one was the best.
my policy for comic books, and I think especially for new comic book readers, I always tell them this: buy the first 3 issues. If you don't like it by the first 3, you can get mad and burn it and light it on fire, sell it on eBay, eat it. I don't care. You can hate it as much as you want, but until you've read at least the first 3, you cannot judge it.
Because comics are long-form storytelling. They're soap operas. You got to give it a chance.
And that's the point I'm trying to get at. Like, everyone who's freaking the hell out and they want to end their runs, like, this is literally issue 1. Well, I just read a comic book, and it was Batman and Robin Eternal. Batman and Robin Eternal ended every single issue with a massive cliffhanger. Always. Batman has a gun. Cassandra Cain is covered in blood with a bunch of bodies around her. And within the first page of the follow-up issue, always resolved that. It was always like what exactly happened. And that might be very well what's happening here. They might do a Captain Hydra isn't actually Captain America or something along those lines.
And you know what?
I think part of the reason the reaction is so vitriolic is because Captain America is a representation overall of who we are.
And people don't like it when the magnifying glass gets put up to
the magnifying glass, he's just taking that magnifying glass and going, look at yourselves.
But perfect example, too, about the politicalization of Captain America during the Brubaker years, at the height of the Bush administration. Yes. What did they do? They killed Steve Rogers. America was dead in the eyes of Marvel and the writers.
Yep. But now, there's another thing that I think everyone is ignoring.
Yes.
This is probably one of the smartest marketing moves
Oh,
Marvel has
yeah.
ever made.
Everyone's talking about it now.
Yeah.
They talked down DC Rebirth. They talked down the biggest thing
Yep.
from the competition that week because everyone was
DC
talking
Rebirth
about
is
it.
something that DC has been hyping up now for 3 months. Every issue's got it in there. It's on every network.
They had a
It's
press conference
They had
for
a
it.
press, everything's going crazy. And it finally came out, and conveniently, the most shocking thing you could ever see in a Captain America comic happened.
I know.
They were like, how do we top Rogers dying? Oh,
Make him a Nazi.
Nazi Rogers.
we're gonna go down the fascist way.
You know,
I'm not even. I started reading that morning. I read DC Rebirth, and my
Yeah.
feed was filled with DC Rebirth first thing in the morning. And by noon, nothing but Cap talk was in there.
Yep,
My
yep.
texts were filled with Cap talk.
It's
I hadn't even
become a
read
meme
Cap
now.
yet. I didn't even know what the deal was because I was still reading on my DC.
Same,
Because
same.
I thought
Yes,
DC was going to be the big spoiler fest.
Me too.
I saw a tumbleweed going through the DC hashtag.
They're like, what does it take us? We killed Superman. We ended Darkseid War. We brought Wall. What will it take to make you people pay attention?
It
No,
literally
I'm
has
sorry.
gotten to a
Civil
point.
War just came out, and Cap became a fascist. So
Yeah.
I mean, so literally, first off, I don't doubt, knowing Nick Spencer's writing, that this was a planned thing.
oh, yeah.
I don't doubt, though, that Marvel decidedly put it out on this week. Because I remember in the weekly poll, our discussion about the movie, Civil War, I even commented, why did Steve Rogers' Captain America #1 not come out this week?
This is
Yeah,
why.
and this is why. I
This
remember,
is why.
like, I think what DC is imagining Marvel doing right now is they're sitting around a round table in a giant skull castle in the
What
middle
can we
of a
make
swamp,
Batman?
being like, "How do we defeat them this week?"
Now, not only that, we've also seen for the first time ever DC writers and Marvel writers all coming to the defense of Nick Spencer.
United hand in hand.
Everyone is
which
defending. Now, first off, they're all defending the fact that this is issue 1 of a story arc. Like,
they're defending him as an artist. Let the man tell
let
his
him
story.
tell the story. You don't know what's going to happen. But I also feel like Marvel's defense over this is maybe they leaked a few issue 2s to their writers who are like, hey guys.
Well, if you're in the
What's up?
writer's room is the thing when these stories are getting pitched, you know more than everyone else. You've heard Nick Spencer say, okay, here's my pitch for Captain Nazi, everybody. It goes a little something like this. Da-da-da-da-da, action, romance, and then by the end.
Exactly.
Well, they definitely know the general layout and all of the major twists because they've already gone over it. They've gone over the pacing. They've brainstormed it all out. They've figured out the marketing, quite obviously. You know, they know what's going to happen. If they're telling everybody to chill out, then everybody should chill out. But just on general principle, people freaking the F out over, why am I censoring myself now?
Rails.
A great comment just came across. They said they heard that Marvel's been planning this since 2014. I actually wouldn't doubt
Yeah,
that
I wouldn't
to
say-
tie in the because 2014 I think is around the year that he became old. I
Yeah.
would not doubt the whole plan was to bring him back and turn him into Captain Hydra.
Yeah.
And I don't doubt that once they discovered Rebirth was coming out, a lot of release dates got shifted to line up
Yeah.
perfectly.
Which, for the record, Benny, there actually is a Captain Hydra. It was in that Secret Wars book. That was his son. If he had stayed under Armin Zola, he would have become the
Oh
Captain
yeah, you're
Hydra.
right. You're
Oh
right.
yeah, I totally forgot about that.
Everyone forgot about.
I know.
Remember, invented this character, let him become the new Nomad, got him lost in a Secret Wars book, and then I don't even know how that book ended because I only read the first 2
Well,
issues.
now we have a new Captain Hydra.
Now, I think we've gone over that for us as comic readers and fans of comics, which is why, for the record, I get irritated with people because I feel like the people who are freaking the hell out,
and really like
they're either
perpetuated it.
the purist, and these are the
Yeah.
people who have not liked comics in 10 years to begin with.
Man.
Like the people who were against all of the Marvel changes going Disney friendly and all of the DC changes, like those are the people flicking out, or the people who aren't comic readers.
You know what I always compare it
Well,
to?
and
When Coke famously changed their formula
Yeah.
from classic Coke to new Coke, there's a great story in a Coke documentary where a former CEO said, I got a phone call one day from just an irate old woman. She's like, no, my name is Agnes so-and-so. I'm 80 years old, and I can't believe you changed my Coca-Cola. And he's like, oh, I didn't change it. When was the last time you had a Coke, ma'am? 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Because
That's what it is.
this is the most brilliant marketing strategy ever. Because basically, what happened is DC Rebirth came out. They've been hyping this up. They wanted you to go buy the new DC Rebirth. And
Yeah.
if you were unlimited funds and you just saw everyone freaking the hell out about Captain America, you probably went and bought Captain America.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying that you're not allowed to be upset about this. The whole
By
point of
all
this
means,
ending
go ahead.
was to incite emotion.
And it did.
Freaking out, demanding change, removing all of your Marvel. That screams to me someone who has not been reading comics for a while, because all of us comic readers know the arc has to end before we can judge.
And crazy shit happens all the time.
3 issues.
There's so many comics that I've been like, I'm going to read the first 3 issues. And I get to issue 3 and I'm like, hated this. Well, now I have ground to argue about it. What the hell were they doing? That was the stupidest thing in the world.
And if you are really mad, let me tell you another like inevitable truth of comics. No matter how big the shakeup, the status quo is always returned.
And that's the big thing.
Just look at DC Rebirth for an example. We had 4 to 5 years of the status quo getting shaken up, only for them to be like, let's put that back now.
We had Captain America replaced. He's now back, even though he's got a whole thing. We had Thor gone, as Odinson was separate. And he's already been revealed as, I'm here, there's a hammer in front of me, I just can't grab it.
Yep.
Spider-Man turned into Doc Ock and came back within, I think it was a full year run. They brought him back.
Yeah, it was.
I mean, there's a number of things that can happen, which brings us to, let's go off everyone's top 3. I'll let you go first, Caitlin, because you're the guest. 3 ways Cap is going to come back. As True Blue, Steve Rogers.
When he had the serum returned to him, he was brainwashed in some capacity. And
by Dr. Faustus, who was a famous mind-controlling villain who they haven't used in a bit.
Let her do her ways. Don't do that.
I was building off it.
You can build off my brilliance. I'm just signposting to give you a little bit of a platform. God.
There you go.
Actually, hold that thought real quick.
Share the wealth.
Hold that thought real quick. Eric MCI is stating what a lot of people are stating. Lady Thor sucks. Captain Falcon sucks. Captain, basically all the new changes sucks. And you aren't wrong. It's for a different audience. That's the fact of the matter.
Yeah.
I think 100. I personally like all of those new books. I like the changes. For some reason, reading comics for as long as I have, seeing changing up things in the storyline is great for me. But you don't have to like it.
No,
it's not written for everyone.
No, I mean that's one of the things, is that certain things are written for certain demographics, and then you on top of that have things that cater more to old readers, that have lots of signposts for old readers. Not everything is for everyone, and it doesn't have to be. You can be okay with that. Like, you don't like it, it can suck. That's fine. Don't read it. By the first
it doesn't
issue,
change
still
the
don't
old
like
stories.
it, don't read it.
Right, and for the record, everyone will come back. You will always get your stories back. So, and there's also old stories that are great standalone stories that I guarantee you have now read every Thor story.
And guess what? There will always be another writer or another artist or another showrunner or another whatever within your universe or cinematic universe that will take over, that you will just fall in love with, and you'll like whatever they do, and then you'll be able to buy so much of them.
Right. Like, I mean, the changes in all the characters were 2 things. First off, to try out new story plots, but it was also to make, if you're a true blue comic reader and you want to read comics no matter what, maybe you'll try some of their other superheroes that they're trying to shove down your throat forever now.
And in many cases, you end up being able to have your cake and eat it too. We got 2 Spider-Mans now. We got a Captain Marvel and a Miss Marvel. You know, we got 2 Wolverines.
They blatantly obviously said Thor's coming back. They showed a hammer and he was there.
They were signposting for Odin's Son's return when they first started Lady.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they've been signposting that forever. A big trick to enjoying comic books, if you're not a seasoned reader, is acknowledging what they're for, acknowledging who they're for, and then being able to pick up on the signposts. And then, most importantly, understanding the impermanence of all of it.
It's all impermanent, man.
I mean, all of it's, reading comic books for a long time is exactly like life. It's always going to change. If you're hanging on to one specific artist and one specific way it's written, then you need to just stay with that artist and that writer and that way it's written. Moving outside of it, if you're not somebody who likes to go outside for your comfort zone, then maybe reading a whole bunch of different artists and styles, maybe that's not for you.
I mean, geez, even really long stuff like the Snyder Capullo Batman, even that comes to an end after 4 years.
Exactly. Everything changes around. And I loved one guy's comment of, well, why is Wolverine still dead? That's because Fox owns the rights to Wolverine.
That helps.
And for the record, they couldn't even hold it out. They gave us female Wolverine and Old Man Logan. And I love people that are like, Old Man Logan isn't Wolverine. No, that is Wolverine, but meaner.
Older.
I've had so many people I was picking up the new Old Man Logan that came out, and I was like, man, I love Wolverine. I, really like the first run of Origins. I'm into that. And then somebody was going, Old Man Logan's not Wolverine. I've been hearing that so much, and I'm like, no.
It's literally him older who went through more hell and came back.
He swore never to unsheath his claws again, but he's still Logan.
Oh no, that's long gone. He unsheathes them all the time.
Oh,
now.
yeah,
and he's back on the X-Men now,
I'm gonna-
protecting Storm and all that.
I'm gonna go out on a limb
I've
too.
been all caught up on the new one, but I was talking about the old one.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go out on a limb too. I think Old Man Logan is better from a writing standpoint. You know why?
Yes,
Because his
it is
healing thing is degraded, which means he's not super god tier Wolverine. I actually fear for Old Man Logan because I'm afraid he might break his adamantium hip and not be able to get back up.
God, I mean, I remember reading so many Wolverine comics when I was younger, and like the suspense slowly leaving me after about 10th grade. I was just like, not
That's why they
phased
took
at
his
all.
powers
Wolverine
away
comics.
before they killed him because the suspension was gone.
I abandoned Wolverine comics when, in his individual solo comics, the stories had just gotten so crazy to make them interesting that he went into a swamp, met a guy who had supposedly been implanting up. Like, we had gotten to a point where, like, 6 dudes had been implanting memories into Wolverine's head.
Yep.
And like, one of them was a hillbilly swamp guy trying to recreate Weapon X. And he tapped into Wolverine's brain, and they were like, I'm like, I don't even know what's going on anymore, and I don't care. I'm
Remember,
The shark jumped into space.
Yeah.
Somewhere where my toucan went.
I mean, when they
remember
introduced
Romulus?
Yeah, Romulus.
There you go.
When they introduced Romulus, and they're like, "Oh, actually, he's been behind it all because your memories have been tinkered. You didn't remember any of it."
Ooh.
And he's also the father of all of these feral characters.
But remember, Marvel has never done any crazy bullshit that's returned to status quo ever.
Yeah.
And we should all have canceled our boxes right after that happened.
Yeah, really.
But I mean, so basically, to bring it back, because we are running much longer than we've ever run with this show before.
For real.
It's supposed to be a 45-minute show. We just ran with it today.
It's what happens when you have a good guest.
Oh no, we do. You've been a great guest, Caitlin. As a matter of fact, everyone, hashtag bring back Caitlin. Just start it.
Should I? Can I come back, you guys?
Geez, at this point, do we even need any more guests? We might as well just sub out Sal for her now.
Please.
See, that's the sort of joke they would make if I wasn't on the show about
He's
me.
actually 100% right. We would have. Who needs Joel?
Joel,
So anyway,
leave.
so-
Get out.
She's on board. You're a part of the crew already. So basically, though, the hashtags are not.
Joel,
okay, finally,
why-
bring back Caitlin, because the
was
first
short.
hashtag was, "Is she single?" But anyway,
She obviously said she wasn't before.
all right. So anyway, Captain America. Overall, I don't think any of us disagree with it. Now that's not to state issue 4, 5, 6 when the arc ends. We
It
might
could still
not hate it
fall on
then.
its face.
Yeah.
But all we're stating is, as comic readers, give it a shot. You never know what's going to happen. I mean, and we should go back to top ways he's going to come back. You said it right with that one. It could also be clone. It could just be a clone this whole time. He came back and got captured immediately.
He got
Korvac
sent
could
to a
have.
retirement home,
Kobik.
and his clone.
Kobik could have made him wrong. She was hanging out with the Nazis. What if she thought he was a part of that the whole time?
It's true. Maybe Zemo messed with her head, and in return, she messed. Or also,
She's in the Thunderbolts, just being crazy, and
Yeah,
just killing people.
Let's not also forget Red Skull, who, man, they gave him a great redesign here. He's got the brown shirt on. He's talking about making America great again through Nazi ideology.
Right.
Whoa.
I was like, "Where's his hat?"
Yeah, I know, right? Here's the thing, too, about Red Skull. Red Skull still has Xavier's brain inside his brain. He swore at the end of Standoff he wouldn't use those powers anymore. Not to recruit people. He could still use it against Cap. In fact, he hasn't used it against Cap
I mean,
yet,
there's
so what
a
way
number of things like that could easily happen. It could be a clone. It could be an LMD. It could be an entire plot by Maria Hill to tarnish the name of Captain America. We don't know.
Right, because she's on her way out already,
That's
so
right.
why not bring her down with him?
I mean, like, what we're getting at is there's a number of things that could easily retroactively change all of this. Even putting it into his history. I was thinking about this because everyone's freaking out like, oh, he's been Hydra his entire life. Not necessarily.
maybe
What
he's
if that
not.
flashback was literally him looking at it? And the whole point was to get you to think he was a part of all of it. What if he went to the first Hydra meeting, walked out, and the way it worked out was he walked out, and that started everything with him wanting to be on America's side.
How it parallels the story
I don't
of the
know
guy who
any
joined
writer-
the weird Hydra thing.
I don't know any writer who's ever written a twist like that before.
I know, right?
That's just so out there. Come on, guys.
Wade 457 says Xavier's brain's been pretty useless.
It
Xavier's brain
kind
is
of
pretty
has
useful.
been.
Yeah, that's what he's saying. It is useful, but no one uses it.
He doesn't use it near as much as he should. Like, he had the whole Red Riots thing. Then he's like, nah, I don't need to use it. I need to get back to my roots. I need to make Hydra a
Eric
grassroots
MCI
movement.
stating that it's the actual Cap, the real Cap that it's always been. Okay, so that just gets rid of the clone and LMD theories. That doesn't mean that he's not mentally brainwashed. That doesn't mean Corbett made him wrong. There's a number. It could still be Steve Rogers, and a number of things are going against it. So
it could still be 80 million different scenarios.
And keep in mind, this isn't the same 616 timeline anymore.
Yeah, that stuff's changed.
Timeline.
It could be like an interesting, like, departed undercover cop story. Like, Steve Rogers needs to go deep cover on Hydra to get closer to Red Skull.
One thing that I noticed is
could have gone Fargo and Aliens.
One thing that I noticed that no one seems to be commenting on is, he killed a man. We didn't see Jack Flag die.
No.
He could have thrown him out of the plane. Falcon grabbed him. And he's like, "Shut up! You're
It's
gone
all
for now."
part of the plan.
Right.
He could be infiltrating Hydra. That would be pretty basic, but hey, it's one of the many possibilities.
And for the record, we could all be wrong, and Nick Spencer just wants to piss off all Marvel readers.
Or you know what? Cap could have just really hated Jack Flag. Just like,
your gimmick is too close to my gimmick.
I said I didn't want him on the team, and I meant it.
He took my donut from the break room fridge.
All right, so on that note, guys, that's pretty much what we think about DC Rebirth, and also what we think about Captain America. We also ran down a little bit of Darkseid War, and we ran down a little bit of The Final Days of Superman. We are going to do a giveaway, giving you a copy of DC Rebirth, and we are going to give you a copy of Captain America. But stick around for the end of the podcast, when we just kind of do post-show and answer some general questions when we're going to do that giveaway. So just don't go anywhere yet. We do got to close out the show, though. So, as usual, I'm Benny the Comicstorian. I dramatically read your favorite comic books over at the channel Comicstorian, and we also have a manga channel where I dramatically mispronounce all of your favorite manga names and dramatically read the comics.
Watashi Benny-kun.
Benny Senpai.
Who will he notice today?
My usual guest is Cape Joel. He does great show reviews, cooking reviews, and comic reviews over at Cape Joel. And our guest for today is Caitlin. Why don't you give the outgo what you do?
Okay, awesome. Hi. Hi again. It's been awesome being on with you guys. I'm That Sea Monster, spelled with a C, and I'm a stand-up comedian that goes to your local comic book and anime conventions and does awesome stand-up. I'm doing a paid event this year at Anime Expo. That is a 21-plus evening drinking game event. You guys should definitely join me there. It is July 4th weekend. And check out my channel, That Sea Monster, my Instagram and Twitter, also at That Sea Monster. My channel is a little derpy, so you might have to look for my videos, but I've just started and I'm doing a Harley Quinn blind bag variant giveaway. First place gets their choice of a premium Harley Quinn variant and a blind bag.
Nice. All right.
So
for those
check
of you
it
guys wondering why I'm not mocking Joel today, without Sal, it seems kind of empty to mock Joel.
You need to have other people around to make it okay.
Right,
so
otherwise I just seem mean.
I'll make
have that
fun
whole
of you,
peer
Joel.
You'll make
That's
fun of him?
cool.
All right, stick
Oh,
around
yeah,
after
of
the show,
course.
and we'll make fun of Joel all you guys want while we give away the comic books. I did notice you, Wade, and Wade would like to want me to notice him, and he wants me to say it in a high, I notice you!
Thanks, Mickey.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining us today. Don't forget, if you missed most of the show, you can watch a video on demand here on Twitch, where we do this show every Thursday. We also stream every Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. We either play video games or we do comic book podcasts. Typically, our podcasts are Tuesdays and Thursdays, while gameplay happens around them and on the other days. We do appreciate anyone. Yeah, we're also working on a Friday thing. We do appreciate anyone who follows the channel. You are our superheroes, and if you can subscribe, that directly supports the podcast. The more subscribers we get, the more emotes we get, and the more shows we can bring to you guys. So don't forget about that. And you can also catch the show afterwards on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Comic TV, the YouTube channel. On that note, I'm going to end the recording, and we're going to do the giveaway. So thank you guys so much. I appreciate those of you guys who came by here, because we did start late today, really late. That was a crazy story, but we'll talk about that later.
Good times.
Yeah.
Everyone wave goodbye.